Hola chicos, it's me, Señora, and I am going to bake for you today a fabulous peanut butter cookie. Now, this cookie isn't just any cookie because it's not a little one, it's a ginormous cookie. It's one big, giant peanut butter cookie. Now, I know some of you can't have peanuts, so I apologize. This day's Cooking with Señora episode only involves peanut butter and flour, so if you're gluten-free, a celiac, again, sorry. However, I do have this flour, which is a gluten-free measure flour. I've never used it. I bought it right before the whole quarantine and when no flour was available, and I thought if I have to have something, I'm gonna have this. So I haven't tried using this flour yet, but I heard it's pretty good, okay? But I'm not gonna be using this today. I'm just gonna be using regular flour. So what do you need? What do you need for this recipe? Well, I'll tell you right now, and I've pre-measured. You need half a cup of white flour, whole wheat if you want. I do have some whole wheat because that was another thing I had to buy when there was no other flour, and 2 tablespoons. So half a cup of flour plus 2 tablespoons. You also need, and let me make sure I'm not wrong, a 1/4 cup of sugar. I particularly like to use organic sugar. You know, I'm a little fancy like that, but it's just one of my little things. You also need a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. I have light brown sugar here for you, so that's that. You also need 4 tablespoons of butter. Now notice it's kind of melted and it's also kind of solid. The recipe says that you need to melt it, but it's okay if it's not all melted and some of it is soft. So I did leave this butter out before I chose to melt it to the state. I did about 15 seconds in the microwave if you don't have time to do it on the stove. But that was that. Okay, so 4 tablespoons of butter. You also are going to need vanilla, and I believe you only need half a teaspoon. Let me double check. Yes, half a teaspoon of vanilla. You're going to also need a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And you're also going to need a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And of course, this is not going to be a peanut butter cookie unless you have peanut butter. You're also going to need a 1/4 cup of peanut butter. Okay, so if you can't remember all this, I'm going to post the actual recipe along with this video so you can just see it and read it as you go. But I'm going to try and do this for you so you can see how it goes and see how my cooking skills prevail or fail. Okay, so it says that I have to put in, I already did preheat the oven to 375. So 375, you do need a cookie sheet, and it recommends that you line it with parchment paper, which I have here ready to rumble. Okay, so there's that. And it says for you to mix some of these wet or sugary ingredients first. So I'm gonna just scroll up on my recipe, and it says stir in both white and brown sugar, peanut butter, then egg yolk, and vanilla. So I have I'm just gonna show you my mixer here. It's gonna be loud. So let's do this. First goes in the sugar, azúcar en español. Then it goes the brown sugar. This is azúcar moreno. Bam. Okay. Now I'm going to put in what calls for the peanut butter. Now this part I didn't do, so let me get myself going. Check out this little spatula. Isn't it adorbs? Okay, 1/4 cup. Oh, that was loud. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know what I found when I cook? That it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Like, don't feel like you have to, like, I might add a little bit just to be on the safe side because peanut butter is not going to hurt this recipe. Obviously, it's the flavor. It's not the part that holds the whole batter together or keeps it to do its job as far as like baking the way it needs to. So notice I just kind of más o menos filled it in. Okay, so I'm going to add this to my concoction. And this is the part where it's like annoying. Look at, like, now I got to get that. Now, because I'm type A, I'm not going to just leave that in there. And I will try my best to get most of it out. And even when I tell myself, Lori, just quit right now. Don't try to scrape everything. It's not important. It's not important. I can't help myself. I just do it because guess what? I like things to to be utilized. So I got most of it. I'm gonna let that go. What's on the sprinkler there, on the spatula there. Spatula, not spatula. That's so improper. Okay, so it's gonna make some noise. Looks pretty good. Starting to mix. It's mixing up. I have a little higher here. Okay. Yeah, getting a little clumpy. I'm gonna show you because I can. There's that mix. So some of it's sticking to the sides. I'm not worried about that right yet because what I've discovered from cooking is that sometimes you need to just let things go. Oh my gosh, did I mention you need an egg? You need an egg, but not just a whole egg. You just need the yolk, okay? So you would have to crack your egg open, you know, do the whole like, let the white part fall out, don't lose, you know, the yolk, and don't crack the yolk because obviously it starts oozing into the white and then you got kind of a mess. And then worst case of that is you've just lost an egg. And an egg, you know, takes a chicken some time to make this. And you know, we want to be kind to the earth. We don't want to waste things like this because chickens do produce waste just by existing. So if they're going to be here and give us eggs, we need to make sure we take advantage of and appreciate what they're doing for us, okay? So I'm going to put that egg right in. I'm going to add that to my mix. Oh, something kind of ugly. Okay, so now I want to add my vanilla. So I remember that it said I needed a half a teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm going to just double check because my memory is so short. Okay, so I'm going to get my vanilla. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to try to do this over here. Be cautious. You don't have a steady hand. You shouldn't do this over your ingredients because what will happen is if you overcompensate, you get too much of something, and sometimes that works okay. Like vanilla is not a big deal when that happens, but salt is a big deal. Like you don't want to be doing that with salt. So you want to maybe do that on the side, measure it on the side, and then put it over your ingredients. Okay, so I'm going to take some time to turn this off and just scrape the sides down because what happens often is with one of these big mixers when you don't have a lot going on in there, and what I mean a lot going on is that there's not a lot of quantity, right? It just kind of just pushes it to the side. So I'm going to make sure I got that. And this is another opportunity for me to get some extra peanut butter off the spatula, which is, you know, totally helping out my OCD fix that I have. Okay, so now what am I going to do? I'm going to sprinkle the flour, baking soda, and baking powder in the bowl and let it form a ball. Now, wait a minute. Did it ask for the butter itself? Where is the butter part? It doesn't say anything about the butter. You know what? I'm going to assume that I need to put this butter in now. I'm going to tell you, it does not say. It says melt your butter. Okay, yes. Okay, and stir in both. So I'm going to say the butter comes in now. Maybe that's what's missing. This is where we just don't know. The recipe does not say when to put in the butter. It doesn't say you need the butter after. I clearly know this butter is necessary. It's part of the fat that's holding the egg and the flour together, so I know it's going to go in there. But I'm going to be honest, this kind of annoys me as a person who is a baker, person who uses the kitchen. This whole idea of not knowing when the butter goes in is poorly done by the person who wrote this recipe. And I'm just telling you, that is a sign of where you can make mistakes, right? Like you're not sure. But let's put this puppy in here, okay? The butter did not want to cooperate. Go butter, go. Go butter, go. Okay. So the butter's in. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous about this because even though I know the butter should go in, does it? Does it go in? Does it go in now? Oh, good thing I'm wearing an apron to splash myself. Okay. Oh, yes. So much better. I'm just realizing now that, yeah, the butter's necessary right now. I'm going to go a little high to get a smoothness out of this, and I'm going to show you. Oh, it smells so good. Nothing like sugar and peanut butter. Okay. I'm gonna just stop it. I'm gonna also take the time to scrape down. Yeah, oh my gosh, imagine if I'd forgotten the butter. I would have had a mess on my hands. I would have had to start over, and you wouldn't have known I would have made a mistake, because guess what? I would have re-recorded. But anyway, just making sure you know what my thought process is here. Okay, this is exciting. Now, this is the part where you want to try your batter, but you don't, because it's got egg in it, raw egg. You don't want salmonella. You don't want to do that. Now, let's be real. How many of you eat batter when you make something and it has an egg in it? Me. How many of you give it to your kids on the actual like paddle of the mixer? Me. So don't really do that, even though I'm telling you not to eat batter, because you shouldn't. I do it, and I can't help it because it's so good. And you know what? Taking a gamble with the salmonella. And but you shouldn't taste your batter, okay? Because it does have raw egg, and raw egg could also obviously give you that. Okay, so now it says sprinkle. I'm just gonna dump it. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't have time for sprinkling. But before I do that, I do like to sometimes, when it says for you to mix in like baking powder or baking soda, often I like to do that right in my flour mix. Sometimes it says like add it after you do the flour. I just feel like these two things can give a taste when they clump in certain spots. Now, I know this is probably just me being a little OCD again, but nonetheless, I'm gonna put it in with my flour. So you're gonna do a 1/4 teaspoon of each, okay? And then what I do from here is I take you can use a fork if you want to, but since I'm not gonna use this again and I don't care, I'm just gonna mix it around, blend it in there. Blend that baking soda and baking powder in with the flour. Okay, that's delish. It's just flour, just joking. But nonetheless, it's gonna be delish. So I'm gonna actually turn on the mixer on a low. That's pretty, it sounds pretty high, but it's actually low, okay? And I'm gonna slowly add my flour. Now you do have to be mindful that when you add flour like this, you have to let it mix, okay? Because if you dump it all in, it can still mix and it'll still be fine, but it's kind of nice to give the batter a little opportunity to catch up, moisten that, you know, that flour before you add more flour in so that it gets really blended evenly and consistently. So I'm gonna add some more. Now I went ahead and just added the rest of it. All right, so let me go ahead and get rid of some of my stuff. Part of cooking is keeping your workstation clean, making sure that you don't leave things around to get messy. Because guess what? They just get in your way. And sometimes being clean as you cook or bake allows you to be cleaner later. You don't have to do so much cleaning. And when your time is precious and you have children, which I know you all don't, but if you did, you don't need to be spending time extra cleaning. So it's nice to keep yourself organized. All right, so I'm going to just put this on high for a second. Oh, all right, and now I'm gonna use my spatula again, this spatula, and I'm going to just make sure all my dough is well mixed. Okay. Let's see. Now it looks a little crumbly right now. That's okay. That's okay. Because what I'm going to do is kind of mix it around. Now I've already washed my hands. And you should obviously always wash your hands before you start baking, because guess what? Germs. And also too, it's just what you should do. I mean, you should just wash your hands frequently when you can and when it's appropriate. So cooking is one of those times. You should always wash your hands before you start cooking. For instance, I cracked open that egg, and by doing this little teeter-tattering of like getting the yolk out, some of the white got on my fingers. For me now to just not wash my hands after that is probably not smart, because afterwards I may actually stop cooking and do something, and that is on my hands, and that could also give you salmonella. So you just got to be mindful of how you keep clean when you cook. People are going to eat this, right? So I'm just going to use my hands really quick to form this ball with the dough. That's what it says to do. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of do it. It's a little crumbly, and I don't know if you've had a peanut butter cookie before, but often they are crumbly. So I just kind of made a basic ball, Okay, whoa, it's a rolling stone. Now it says form a single ball in the center. Fine, I did. Okay, now set it back in the bowl. I did it in the bowl, fine. Okay, good. Sprinkle a couple tablespoons of additional sugar over it and roll it until it's covered with a layer of sugar. Okay, here's my sugar. Let me just wipe my hands down. And I'm going to use my tablespoon that I have here. Make sure. Here's 1 tablespoon. I'm going to just put it in there. Put another tablespoon. Okay. Move the sugar out of my way. Okay. And I'm just going to, I'm going to admit, I'm going to take this and make it more into a ball like this. Got a little OCD going on. Couldn't leave it be like a little egg, misshaped egg. Okay, so here's my dough. You can see it's quite dry. And I'm just going to roll it around. Roll it. Roll. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, it's kind of funny, like 2 tablespoons was maybe not what I needed. I needed maybe a little less, but I suppose it's trying to give you an opportunity to roll the dough in a way so it gets covered as well as possible. So notice, see? It's almost like one of those peanut butter blossoms that you make at Christmas time or during the holiday season or whenever you feel like it, where you put the little Hershey Kiss in. Imagine if we had a huge Hershey Kiss right now. They make those. Okay, so now let's see. So it says roll it around, blah, blah, blah. Yes. Okay, place dough ball on your parchment-lined paper. Okay. I got that. And here it is. I'm going to put my ball here. Shake my sugar off of my hands. Okay. And now press down with your hand until it's about 1 inch thick. If desired, use a skewer to form the traditional crisscross. Okay, I have one of those, just so you know. Okay, so here we go, pushing. Oh my gosh, it's a little scary, I'm not gonna lie. You really do need to make sure it's round, okay? Because it does split on the sides like a cookie would. And I'm gonna tell you, I feel compelled to kind of fix the edges, even though it's supposed to crack. You know how a peanut butter cookie cracks on the side? And I'll show you what I mean. I am going to take some time though and make sure it's not super cracked. All right. Okay. This is excellent. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to put some more sugar on this. I'm going to do some sugar because I think it needs it. Because when you push down, and I'll show you in a second, it does go into the batter. Now, I know that's not going to be a problem for taste or for baking. But what I love about a sugar or peanut butter cookie is that sugar coating that kind of gets built in there and caramelizes a bit. Okay, I'm going to shake my hands off again, and I'm going to show you. See? So what I have here is a cookie about this big. I wonder how much it's going to like rise or expand. All right, now I'm going to go get a skewer. Actually, wait. I have a wooden spoon. Here. This is what I use to make my ravioli, and I'm going to just crisscross. Crisscross. Make you jump. No, that's not how it goes. Okay, let's see. Not gonna lie, it's not pretty. I feel like I'm not really doing a great job. But it's a small detail that doesn't define the quality. Okay, all right, here it is. Oh, it's so cute. Okay, so now what? So what does it say? What do I do? Okay, bake for 13 to 15 minutes. Okay, all right, well, let me go do that. I'm gonna go put it in the oven. Hold on. All right, so my cookie's baking. I put it for 14 minutes. Often when my recipes call for like this range of time, I usually go somewhere in the middle. So I'm thinking like 14 minutes, it should be done. And when it's done, it says just let cool for 15 minutes and then basically use a very large spatula to transfer to a cooling rack. All right, well, I'll be back in 14 minutes to let you know how this puppy came out. All right, stay tuned. Hey, I'm back. All right, so I got like 3 minutes left on my cookie, and I'm gonna check it out in a second. But in the meantime, I thought, why not try to discuss what I should bake next? I'm not sure if anyone has any ideas. I'm willing to listen to those ideas, of course, and I do love to bake. And I like to cook, but I'm trying to keep this into a baking show. So in the next episode of Cooking with Señora, it's actually Baking with Señora. I would like some recipes on what I should make. I did find something while I was kind of cleaning up and thinking about, I did see this recipe last night when I was kind of looking through my cookbooks for something else, and I thought, ooh, I like me a good s'more anything. So I've decided that my next baking item will be some sort of s'more concoction. Now, I apologize. Again, this is not going to be a gluten-free item, so if you're a gluten-free person, this is not going to work for you. If you're a vegan, also not. I didn't even talk about that because I used eggs and butter. But I am going to make something that is peanut-free. Maybe the next thing I make are these bonfire brownies. Now, if you know anything about me, I don't really love chocolate, but the second you put a marshmallow on it, it's like I'm sold. It's the same thing like those snowballs, those Hostess snowballs. I'm gonna tell you a dark secret. I love them. People are usually grossed out by them. They're those like chocolate cake with a little filling and then the little marshmallowy coconut thing on top. Yeah, love them. But anyway, I'm not making those. I'm gonna make these bonfire brownies. Don't they look good? Okay, so this is gonna call for a graham cracker crust. From what I see, you can just simply use graham crackers. I tried to see if these were gluten-free. They're not, so I'm sorry. I'm not well versed in gluten-free, so I don't have like this natural ability to pull a gluten-free item from my cupboard, although I do think marshmallows are. Anyway, and then it's gonna call for chocolate, and I think it just uses Hershey's milk chocolate. Like she goes right for like a real basic chocolate, so it doesn't have to be super gourmet. And then it has pretzels. Do you see it? I always have pretzels at home, so I know I'll be able to pull most of these ingredients. And to be honest with you, I usually have marshmallows at home. My kids love hot chocolate, and so I like to have little marshmallows around for them. And I love s'mores, so I love to know that I can always have a s'more whenever I want to, even if I have to microwave the darn thing. So, so just know that I think this will be my next recipe. And it looks like it calls for some basic things. It does say to use some instant coffee. I don't know if you know this, but chocolate, often when you make a chocolate baked item, it calls for a little bit of coffee because it pulls out the depth of the chocolate flavor, and it makes it always better. Any good chocolate recipe will usually include a little bit of instant coffee. And then you just put it in, and it really just pulls out the chocolate taste. Oh, my cookie. Let's see. Perfect timing. Oh my gosh. It's done. Isn't that looking good? Now, what you need to do for the rest of this recipe is let it sit. You need to let it sit for 15 minutes. So what you saw took me about 10 minutes to make. I did have all my ingredients measured out and ready to go so I could just kind of seamlessly cook in front of you, but it doesn't take very long to measure things out. So it's about a 10-minute, 15-minute prep. Then you got a 15-minute about cooking time. So, and then you got a 15-minute wait. Okay, so you do have to wait. I wonder if this is a good time. I noticed like some of my creases kind of came out. So I'm gonna just, oh my God, I don't know if I should be doing this. Oh no, oh, okay. All right, well, I did it. It made the cookie crack. I don't care. Because I know that once this guy is done cooling off, it's going to somewhat continue to bake. That's what it says. It says it's going to still bake a little bit in those 15 minutes that it's cooling. It's so hot that it's still baking. So that's part of it. Then the other part of it is that it's going to firm it up so that when you do finally transport it or move it from the baking sheet to a cooling rack, it's not going to crumble and fall apart. It's just too big of a cookie and too soft. So be patient. Don't just go ahead and scoop that thing up unless you just want to eat the dough and have it kind of on the warm side. Whoa, it's lightning and thundering here. Good thing. A good thing I got this out before. Do you hear that? Holy cow. Okay, well, anyway, you don't want to obviously move this before it's time, because if you do, then you're going to obviously break your cookie. All right, well, I think this is it. I'm going to sign off, and next time on Cooking with Señora, we're going to make those bonfire brownies. And maybe you can join me. Maybe you can make them too. Maybe you can show me what you've made. Maybe you can make this peanut butter cookie, take a picture, and send it to me. Just simply send it to my email and I can post it up on our classroom. Either way, I'm interested. Can you make a big peanut butter cookie? Can you? We'll see. All right, enjoy. I'll talk to you later.